First contact gone wrong. Supreme Warmaster Vexthor stood proudly on the command deck of the Ricarian Empire's flagship, the Eternal Dread. His scaled skin shimmered under the violet lighting as he surveyed his impressive fleet of 30 warships, each designed to strike terror into the hearts of lesser species. Today's mission should have been simple: establish dominance over the newly discovered human trading routes in the Orion Arm. Their sensors had detected 3 human cargo vessels entering Ricarian space, perfect targets for demonstrating the Empire's might. The massive warships moved into an attack formation that had made countless species surrender on sight. Deploy the terror matrices, Vexthor commanded, his voice resonating through the bridge. The fleet's most advanced psychological warfare systems activated, projecting massive holographic images of ancient Ricarian death gods, each spanning several kilometers. The ships released clouds of mural reactive gas designed to amplify fear responses in most known species. Broadcast the surrender ultimatum, he ordered, expecting to see panic spread through the human vessels. Instead, his communication officer's antennae twitched in confusion. "Sir, the humans are. They're taking selfies with our death gods." "They're what?" Vexthor moved closer to the main view screen. Sure enough, the crews of all 3 cargo ships had positioned themselves to capture images with the massive holographic projections in the background. One ship had even changed its running lights to create a more dramatic lighting effect. "Hey, cool special effects." The transmission came from the lead cargo ship's captain, Sarah Chen, who was adjusting her camera angle. "Are you guys filming a movie out here? The production value is amazing." Vexthor's secondary hearts nearly stopped. "This is not entertainment. We are the Ricarian Empire, conquerors of 1,000 worlds. Tremble before our might. Oh my God, the costume design is incredible too." Another human captain, Marcus Rodriguez, chimed in. "Those scales look so realistic. Which studio are you with? Marvel? Netflix?" The Ricarian crew watched in horror as humans across all 3 ships began sharing videos of their encounter on something called Spacegram. Within minutes, the massive holographic death gods had become the background for hundreds of human dance videos. "Sir," the cultural analysis officer reported, "the humans are using our sacred terror chant as a sick beat for something called a viral dance challenge." Vexthor's scales turned pale. "Launch the dread fighters. Show them our true power." The hangar bays of the Ricarian ships opened, releasing squadrons of sleek, black fighter craft designed to resemble ancient nightmare creatures. They performed the Dance of Dominance, a complex series of maneuvers meant to demonstrate overwhelming military superiority. "This just keeps getting better," Captain Chen broadcast. "The choreography is incredible. Hey everyone, they're doing an aerial ballet." The 3rd cargo ship captain, Aisha Patel, had already set up what she called a live streaming event and was providing commentary. "Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more amazing space performances. Should we request an encore?" As Vexthor watched his fearsome military display being turned into entertainment, he realized that the Ricarian Empire had encountered something far more terrifying than any weapon: humans who refused to be intimidated. His strategic officer approached cautiously. "Sir, our fear analytics are showing 0 effect. Instead, we're trending on something called TikTok Space Edition. We've just received 6 million likes and several booking requests for children's birthday parties." Vexthor slumped in his command chair, his proud posture completely deflated. "Shut it all down," he whispered. "Just shut it all down." But it was too late. By the time the Ricarian fleet retreated, their entire first contact had become the galaxy's hottest entertainment sensation. Somewhere in the vast expanse of space, other species were already creating memes about the mighty Ricarian Empire's debut as performance artists. The humans, meanwhile, were disappointed to see the show end so soon. Captain Chen sent one final transmission. 5 stars. Would definitely recommend. Please come back for an encore performance. The art of human warfare. The Ricarian High Council chamber was in chaos. Massive holographic displays showed millions of humans across Earth, and its colonies recreating their military displays in increasingly creative ways. One particularly popular video featured a group of human children performing the Dread Fighter dance in costumes made from painted cardboard boxes. This is unprecedented. Senior Counselor Zixra hissed, her scales shifting to a distressed orange hue. Our entire psychological warfare division is being treated as performance art. Supreme War Master Vexthor stood before the council, trying to maintain his dignity while explaining how 3 human cargo ships had managed to transform the Empire's most feared military unit into an entertainment sensation. Perhaps, he suggested, we should demonstrate our actual military capabilities. Show them our real power. A junior analyst nervously raised a hand. About that, sir. We've analyzed human entertainment media spanning the last 5 centuries. They have thousands of stories about defeating vastly superior alien forces. They seem to enjoy being overwhelmed. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humans didn't just resist fear. They turned it into inspiration. There's more, the analyst continued, pulling up another display. Humans have started incorporating our terror matrices into something they call raves. They're gathering by the thousands to dance under images of our death gods. Footage played showing massive human celebrations where the Ricarian symbols of fear and domination had been transformed into pulsing light shows. DJs mixed their sacred chants with something called dubstep. 73 entertainment companies have already submitted copyright claims on our terror matrices designs, another counselor added miserably. They're producing merchandise. Vexthor's personal communicator chimed. He opened it to find a message from Captain Chen. Hey, hope you don't mind, but we're launching a line of plush toys based on your fighter ships. They're adorable. We'll send you the first production run. The kids are going to love them. The message included an image of a cute, cuddly version of their feared dread fighter craft, complete with a smiling face and tiny wings you could hug. We must respond decisively, Zixra declared. Prepare our most advanced psychological operations unit. We will show these humans the true meaning of. Actually, interrupted the cultural analyst, humans have already scheduled our next performance. They're calling it Galactic Fest 2525, featuring the amazing Ricarian Empire live show. The council watched in horror as promotional materials spread across human networks. Their fearsome military formations have been reimagined as elaborate stage productions. Their death god projections were being advertised as the greatest light show in the galaxy. They've even composed a theme song for us, the analyst added, triggering a sound clip that merged their sacred war chants with something called K-pop. Vexthor felt a headache building in all 3 of his brains. Perhaps we should try diplomacy. Surely their political leaders will understand the seriousness of. The United Earth government has already appointed an interstellar entertainment and cultural exchange minister, someone reported. They're prepared to offer us very favorable trade terms in exchange for regular performances. A new transmission appeared on the main screen. It was Captain Rodriguez, now wearing a t-shirt featuring a cartoon version of Vexthor. Great news. Your fan club already has 10 million members. Quick question. How do you feel about merchandising rights? Zixra's scales had shifted to a previously unknown shade of embarrassed purple. In 9,000 years of Ricarian history, no species has ever. Oh, and one more thing. Rodriguez continued cheerfully. We're organizing an intergalactic talent show. Would you be interested in being judges? The grand prize is a solid gold replica of your flagship. The entire High Council stared at the smiling human on their screen, their carefully constructed image of supreme galactic dominance crumbling around them. Somewhere in the depths of space, their ancestors were probably writhing in shame. Sir, a junior officer interrupted, we're receiving reports that 3 other empires have requested dance lessons from our fleet commanders. They say if they can't beat the humans, they might as well join the entertainment industry. Vexthor looked at the merchandising contracts, the performance schedules, and the rapidly growing number of humans incorporating Ricarian aesthetic into their daily lives. A strange realization began to dawn. Perhaps conquest wasn't the only path to galactic influence. "Counselors," he said finally, "I believe we need to reconsider our definition of power. Also, does anyone know what a dance-off is? Apparently, we're scheduled for one next week." When diplomacy meets entertainment, the United Earth Diplomatic Center in Geneva wasn't used to hosting variety shows. Yet here they were, with the main conference hall transformed into what humans called a talent show audition space. Supreme War Master Vexthor, now uncomfortably aware that his fearsome military title had become a stage name, sat at a judging table alongside Captain Chen and a popular human entertainment producer. "Remember," Chen whispered to him, "we're looking for that special fear factor meets dance revolution vibe. Your Empire's brand is really hot right now." Vexthor's scales itched. This was supposed to be a serious diplomatic summit to establish interstellar boundaries and protocols. "Oh, we'll get to that," Chen assured him, adjusting the glittering bow tie someone had convinced him to wear. "But first, let's see what the Andromeda dance crew has prepared. They'd been practicing your Death God projection choreography for weeks." The massive doors opened, and a group of enthusiastic humans bounded in, wearing modified versions of Ricarian military uniforms. They had somehow added sequins, so many sequins. "The humans have weaponized enthusiasm," muttered Zixra, who sat in the diplomatic observation booth, watching her species' dignity dissolve under stage lighting. "How do you fight that?" On stage, the dance crew had begun their routine, a surprisingly accurate recreation of the Ricarian fleet's standard intimidation formation, but with added backflips. Their leader, an energetic young woman named Maria, had even figured out how to mimic Vexthor's commanding stance while doing something called the robot. "Your cultural influence is spreading faster than we ever imagined possible," reported Dr. James Wilson, Earth's newly appointed Minister of Interstellar Entertainment Relations. 7 different species have already submitted applications to join what they're calling the Galactic Performance Alliance. Vexthor watched as another group took the stage, these ones having transformed the Empire's feared dreadfighters into a synchronized swimming routine. In space, with lasers, the Arcturus Broadcasting Network wants to create a reality show, Chen added excitedly. "They're calling it, So You Think You Can Conquer. It's about aspiring alien empires learning to express their dominance through interpretive dance." Just then, the diplomatic center's doors burst open. Captain Rodriguez rushed in, waving a datapad. "Breaking news. The Zorgax Collective just released their cover version of your Terror Matrix display." The room's main screen activated, showing what had once been the galaxy's most feared warrior species performing an elaborate musical number. They had somehow turned the Ricarian Death God holograms into backup dancers. "The merchandising possibilities are endless," the entertainment producer mused. "Have you considered a line of dance instruction videos? Conquer the dance floor with Supreme War Master Vexthor has a nice ring to it." In the observation booth, the Ricarian Diplomatic Corps watched their civilization's feared military traditions transform into the galaxy's hottest entertainment trend. One junior diplomat was actually tapping his foot to the rhythm of the Terror Chant remix. "The humans have achieved what no species has done in millennia," Zixra observed. "They've conquered us without firing a shot. They just made us popular." Back at the judging table, Vexthor found himself actually impressed by a group that had turned their standard fleet attack pattern into an aerial ballet. "Their formation is quite precise," he admitted. "Though traditionally, those maneuvers are meant to instill hopeless dread, not win style points." "That's the spirit," Chen beamed. "Oh, and wait until you see what we've done with your species' traditional war cry. We mixed it with something called jazz fusion. It's very avant-garde." Before Vexthor could protest, Captain Patel arrived with more news. "The Galactic Entertainment Federation just voted. Your terror matrices are nominated for Best Special Effects in a Cross-Species Production. We don't produce. Vexthor began, but stopped. What exactly did they produce now? Fear, entertainment, cultural revolution. Also, Paddle added, 3 other ancient conquest-focused empires have inquired about talent management services. They say if military intimidation is going out of style, they'd like to explore careers in the performing arts. The entertainment producer was already drafting contracts. We could call it Empire's Got Talent, a show where formerly terrifying alien species reinvent themselves for the modern galactic entertainment market. As Vexthor watched another group perform what they called a hip-hop interpretation of Ricarian combat techniques, he had a profound realization. His species had spent millennia trying to dominate the galaxy through fear, yet humans had managed to conquer hearts and minds with nothing more than enthusiasm and a good beat. "Sir," a junior officer approached nervously, "the Sacred Council of Terror requests your presence. They want to discuss rebranding our ancient order as an entertainment consulting firm." The Galactic Cultural Revolution. 6 months after their failed attempt at intimidating humanity, the Ricarian Empire faced an unprecedented crisis. Their fearsome warships now had waiting lists for performance bookings. Their military training academies had been forced to add dance studios. And Supreme War Master Vexthor, much to his ongoing bewilderment, had just won Most Influential Galactic Entertainment Personality of the Year. "Our latest survey results are in," reported Admiral Khazar, now doubling as the Empire's chief entertainment officer. "Approval ratings across known space have increased by 3,000%. However, most species now associate us with fun rather than terror." The High Council Chamber, once a place of solemn military planning, had been renovated with better lighting and acoustics. Someone had even installed a disco ball. "The humans have completely rewritten our narrative," Zixra observed, watching footage of their latest performance, a synchronized fleet maneuver that had somehow been set to something called classical dubstep. Speaking of narratives, Captain Chen's hologram appeared, looking excited. "We've just finished the pilot episode of Extreme Makeover, Empire Edition. Your transformation from feared conquerors to galactic entertainers tested really well with focus groups." Vexthor, who had finally given up trying to maintain his fearsome image, adjusted his now signature sparkly cape. "How many other empires have signed up for the show?" 7 so far. Chen beamed. "The Zorgax Collective is particularly eager to rebrand. They're thinking of turning their planet-destroying superweapon into a light show platform." Just then, the doors burst open. A junior officer rushed in, looking panicked. "Sir, we have a situation in the Outer Territories. The dreaded Dread Fighter Squadron." "Yes." Vexthor prepared for the worst. "They've gone rogue, sir. They're performing unauthorized dance routines in neutral space, something they're calling freestyle." The council chamber erupted in chaos. Unauthorized choreography was still a serious offense under military law, even if no one was quite sure how to classify it anymore. "That's not all," the officer continued. "They've started incorporating moves from something called breakdancing. The footage has already gone viral across 3 galaxies. On the main screen, they watched their elite fighter pilots perform impossible maneuvers, their ships moving in ways that violated both military protocol and several laws of physics. The comment feeds were flooding with praise and dance challenge acceptances from other species. "We're receiving diplomatic communications," another officer announced. "The Galactic Council wants to know if we're available to headline their annual peace celebration. They're calling it Beats Not Bombs, a journey from war to wow." Vexthor looked around the council chamber at his fellow Ricarians. Their scales, once maintained in intimidating dark shades, now sparkled with fashionable glitter. Their traditional war chants had been remixed into chart-topping dance hits. Their feared death god holograms were being used to host children's educational programs. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "it's time we officially acknowledge our evolution. Excellent timing. Chen's hologram chirped. Because Earth's premier entertainment conglomerate wants to partner with you on a new venture, Ricarian Academy of Performing Arts. Imagine, the galaxy's first school combining military precision with artistic expression. The cultural analyst raised a hand. Sir, our research shows that our influence has actually expanded faster through entertainment than it ever did through conquest. We're now reaching species that would have taken centuries to subjugate militarily. And merchandise sales are through the roof, added the economic advisor. The plush Dread Fighter toys alone have outsold our entire military budget. Zixra, who had been quietly contemplating, spoke up. Our ancestors sought to leave their mark on the galaxy through fear. Perhaps this new path, perhaps this is actually a more effective form of conquest. Just then, they received another transmission. It was footage from across known space, showing various species recreating Ricarian military formations as elaborate performance pieces. Even the notoriously serious Quantum Collective had produced a synchronized swimming routine using their singularity generators. The humans, Vex Thor realized, they didn't just resist our conquest. They transformed it into something entirely new. They conquered fear itself by turning it into joy. Speaking of joy, Chen interjected, how do you feel about theme parks? Because I have some concepts for Ricaria World that I think you're going to love. The final performance. 1 year after their fateful first contact with humanity, the Ricarian Empire celebrated an anniversary that no one could have predicted. The massive arena constructed in Earth's orbit was packed with representatives from over 1,000 species, all gathered for what was being called the greatest show in the galaxy. Supreme War Master Vex Thor, now also known as the galaxy's most innovative performance artist, stood in what used to be his command center. The fearsome bridge of the Eternal Dread had been converted into a state-of-the-art production control room. 5 minutes until showtime, Captain Chen announced, now officially serving as the Ricarian Empire's creative director. The HoloNet broadcast is reaching every corner of known space. Even the mysterious Void Dwellers emerged from their quantum realm to watch. Vex Thor adjusted his ceremonial armor, which now came with built-in light effects. A year ago, we sought to conquer humanity through fear. Instead, you conquered the galaxy through jazz hands. Chen finished with a grin. Much more effective, if you ask me. The main screen showed feeds from across the galaxy. Species that had once trembled at the mention of the Ricarian Empire were now hosting viewing parties. The Zorgax Collective had even choreographed a pre-show tribute using their reformed planet destroyer as a disco ball. Sir, Admiral Khazar reported, his formerly menacing battle armor now bedazzled. The Sacred Terror Council has finished their final rehearsal. Their new interpretation of the ancient chant of dominance, mixed with Earth classical music, is surprisingly catchy. And the merchandise stands? Vex Thor asked, still amazed that this was now a regular part of his military briefings. Selling out across all sectors. The mini Dread Fighter toy line has a 3-month backorder. And your action figure, Khazar paused, checking his datapad, has just outsold the entire Galactic Toys holiday catalog. Just then, a junior officer burst in, something that seemed to happen a lot these days. Sir, the Intergalactic Entertainment Awards Committee has just announced. We've been nominated in 27 categories, including Most Innovative Cultural Transformation and Best Use of Military Hardware in a Musical Number. Vex Thor looked out at the gathered audience. Among them sat the Ricarian High Council, their scales now permanently tinted with fashionable glitter. Next to them were Earth's diplomatic team, who had somehow managed to turn interstellar relations into the galaxy's hottest entertainment franchise. You know, Chen said thoughtfully, when we first met, you were trying to intimidate 3 cargo ships. Now you're bringing joy to trillions. I'd call that a pretty successful conquest. The lights dimmed. In the arena below, 30 Ricarian warships began their opening formation. But instead of projecting fear and doom, They created a light show that would have made Broadway jealous. The Death God holograms, once designed to terrify, now danced through space in a celebration of unity and creativity. 10 seconds, called the stage manager. Ready the terror matrices, the special effects. As the music began, a surprising but wonderful fusion of Ricarian war chants and Earth's greatest musical styles, Vex Thor realized something profound. His species had spent millennia trying to leave their mark on the galaxy through fear and domination. Yet in just 1 year of embracing humanity's perspective, they had achieved more influence than all their conquests combined. The show began, broadcasting across space and time, reaching beings of all kinds with a message that no one had expected from the formerly fearsome Ricarian Empire, that sometimes the greatest power comes not from making others tremble, but from making them smile. In the VIP section, Captain Rodriguez leaned over to Captain Patel. "Remember when they tried to intimidate us with those scary holograms?" "Best failed invasion ever," Patel replied, watching as a squadron of dread fighters performed a perfect synchronized routine to a classical dubstep fusion piece. "Though I don't think we can call it a failure anymore. Look at what it started." Indeed, as the grand finale approached, representatives from former enemy empires danced together under the stars. The Quantum Collective had temporarily paused their calculations of universal doom to enjoy the show. Even the mysterious Void Dwellers were seen tapping their tentacles to the beat. Breaking news. The entertainment feed announced. The Galactic Cultural Exchange Program reports that applications for joint human-Ricarian art projects have exceeded all previous records for interspecies cooperation. In related news, the Ministry of Conquest has been officially renamed the Department of Creative Expression. As the final notes of the performance echoed through space, Vex Thor stood on his bridge, now a control room, and watched as his empire's greatest achievement unfolded. They had indeed conquered the galaxy, just not in the way they had originally planned. "So," Chen asked, already looking ahead, ready to discuss Season 2. The end.